Yeah, we can start now.
Good morning to everyone present here. I'm Darshini, member of IEI Club, here to welcome you all on behalf of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Artificial Intelligence and Data Science of Panimalur Institute of Technology. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming you all to the 2 weeks hands-on workshop on Java as the inaugural event of our Intellectual Events Innovation Club. I would like to start the event by thanking our secretary and correspondent, Dr. P. Chinnadurai, MA PhD, for his continuous support and encouragement. I welcome our directors, Mrs. C. Vijayarajeshwari, Mr. C. Shakti Kumar, Mrs. Saranya Shakti Kumar. I extend my sincere thanks to our principal, Dr. T. Jayanti, ME PhD, for giving us this opportunity in organizing this event. I welcome and thank our beloved HODs, Dr. V. Subeda, Professor and Head of Computer Science and Engineering Department, and Dr. T. Kalichelvi, Professor and Head of Artificial Intelligence and Data Science Department, for guiding and supporting us and for helping us organize this event. I would now like to welcome our speaker for today's event, Indumati Tiruthanikesan, software engineer at OFS and technical mentor at Letfix Technology. We welcome you, ma'am. I would like to welcome our staff coordinators, Mrs. Dhanalakshmi, Assistant Professor of AI and DS Department, and Mrs. A. Babisha, Assistant Professor of AI and DS Department, Mrs. S. Annie Shrill, Assistant Professor of Computer Science and Engineering Department, and the teaching and the non-teaching staffs of our department who have worked hard for the success of the webinar. And finally, I welcome all the participants to the online webinar. Once again, I extend a warm welcome. Ma'am, we can proceed with the presentation, ma'am.
Yeah. Good morning, students. So today we are going to look about the concepts where we call as Java Advanced Concepts. And to begin with that, we can start with strings. Are you all comfortable? I mean, I hope this is not an interactive session. I thought it would be. So let me proceed. Okay. So to proceed with let's start with string. So as we all know, string is basically a complex type in Java, and it is an object that represents the sequence of character array, right? So we can have all those values in a character array, or we can have that in a string. So like, let me share you one example. Hope you all are familiar with Java and you all know how to create a class or even familiar with Eclipse. Even not, there is no worry, okay? You can still learn from basics. You can still code in Notepad and you can run from there. You can run from your command prompt. It's not mandatory that you should use Eclipse and try your codes and verify whether it is right or not. I would suggest you first go through all the basics and try with Notepad first. So that is the best way of learning any Java code. Okay. So I am familiar with and I am comfortable with Eclipse. That's why I'm using here. If not, if you are not comfortable with Eclipse, that's not a problem. Even if it is not clear, also you can ask me. I can explain in between. So that's not a big deal. Also, now I'm creating a class. So we have created a class. As you all know, this is the structure. Wait a second. Please give me a second. And the package name I have just given for a sample. This shouldn't be like this. It should be a meaningful package name. So we have to start from that. We should create a package. Under a package, we have a class. The reason for creating all these classes under a package is it means that similar classes required for a particular project. In projects, we have many packages, but the packages, the particular package holds some meaningful information, right? If we are working in an application, the particular package explains us what that package holds. So all the necessary classes or all the relatable classes, the dependent classes, are put inside the package. Okay. So, and we have created a class. Let's start with a sample. As you all know, the program starts from main thread. There are some standards in writing the code. So the indentation should be proper, and where the braces starts and where the braces ends. All these are necessary for writing any code. Even if you are practicing from basic, try to learn with the best practices, like how a code should be, how from where the braces should start, and how the indentation should be, and why we are using public here, and why we are using static here, why we are using void. Why does that should be void? Why not some other written type? And what is this main? Everything is necessary, right? Because main is the root class, root thread, from where our application or from where the program actually starts. If you do not give main, you will face some issues, right? Even if I'm giving some other names. For example, even if I give and if I run this program, it will say editor does not contain a main type, which means the program requires that main thread to start. Only when we provide that main only, the program will start from there. Only then the execution gets started. And for the string, let's consider we have a character array. So for example, mm, you can have a, let's see, you can have same this. And this is similar to, if it's an interactive session, it would be helpful for me, like where you guys are not able to understand. I hope you are able to understand what I'm doing here. So initially we have created a character array, and we can still pass the character array as a string, which means that the character array is considered as a string here. So this both are similar. Otherwise, what we can do is we can still have that main here. Hope you understand what's the difference between the character array and string. So this is how we create object for string, and this is how you can create through string literal, and this is using the new keyword. This is how usually we create an object. As you all know, the paradigm is object-oriented programming. So the Java is object-oriented programming. So everything is considered as object here. Sorry, the base of this programming is object. So based on the objects only, we are working in real time. So when we create object, the new keyword plays a major role. Now there is a concept like memory mapping, like how this object is being created, how this object is getting stored, where are the values, how, on what basis this object is getting created, and how to consume that object, and what are the problems, and what are, how to use that. All those details you need to study. You need to dig through the memory management of objects. Okay, so and so this is about string, and to mention this, as it is both it is also a complex type, right? As I have also already mentioned, other than the remaining data types like int or byte or string, they are primitive data types, and string is considered as both primitive and complex type. And when we mention as complex type, we can create objects for complex type. Okay, even we can use those primitive data types as also as complex, but we need to wrap them into their corresponding objects. Say for example, if we have int I is equal to 5, we can still use integer I1 is equal to, okay. So this is both are similar only, but this is an object type and that's a primitive type. So it means it is complex. And when we say this is integer is a wrapper type of int, you can still view here. The integer class wraps a value of the primitive type, as I have already mentioned. So this is the difference. Like string behaves differently other than all the remaining data types. String is both a complex type and a primitive type. So while talking about the string plays a major role, right, among all the data types. So while talking about the string, we should definitely learn what a string pool, because whenever we are creating objects, or whenever we are creating memory for each and every thing here in code, we need to understand how it is getting stored and what is the problem of those memory allocation. All those things we need to understand. So while talking about that, there is a concept called string pool. Also, before that, I would like to tell about what is the, okay, let me proceed with the string pool. So the string pooling concept, that is, the string pool is nothing but an internal, or we can say it is a internal pool in the heap memory. You all know about the memory allocation, right? So in JVM, we have stack memory and heap memory. So in heap, we have the string pool where the strings are getting stored. Here, this main, line number 9, where we have this, right, main, this is getting stored in string pool. Okay, for your understanding, I'll mention here. So this will get stored in string pool, whereas this gets stored in the heap memory itself. Also, what is the drawback? Why do we need to know about the string pool, right? If I have another string, there is no problem here, right? This again gets stored in the string pool. And what if I concatenate both the string? You know what happens? It does not get appended to the existing main string. So for example, if I want to concatenate, if I want to concatenate both the strings, what will happen? It will create a new memory and get stored in the string pool. Do you think this is better? This is not better, because it shouldn't happen, because we are creating a new memory for the existing words, like what we see here. It is going to create, even if you change, even if, see, Even if I append, I want to add main, or what to say, simply a y here. It will be like many, right? So even for the single letter, it will create a new space. This is not better. So we have separate classes for this handling all this, because string pool is a limited memory. So if we keep on adding and if we keep on concatenating, the appended string will also create a new memory that is not feasible in real time. So we have some classes like string pool and string buffer. Sorry, string builder and string buffer. Okay. So as I have already mentioned, string builder is a class and it supports all this memory allocation problems. Okay. And here with the string, what happens? I have created a new memory and here I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to append those values. Here what happens means it has already created a new memory space for SB, and how many words whatever I'm going to add again and again, it is going to get stored in the same memory where this SB exists. So it is not creating a new memory for each and every words that I append. So this is an important concept you should be aware of. And string buffer is also similar. Only thing is there are some technical differences between string builder and string buffer. There are some performance variation between a string buffer and string builder. So this is what you all should know about string in general. Also, I have mentioned that I would take about regex. Let me check. Yeah. So when we talk about regex, string, as I have already mentioned, we all know that is a primitive and complex data type. So when whatever concepts we are studying, if you want to learn, just try to understand whether it is an API or what is that. Is it a concept or it is a method or it is a class? Only then you can understand what from where it is derived from, what is the root class for that, and what are the methods we are overriding in real time. All those things we need to concentrate. And while talking about the regex, Java regex is an API. It is an already existing API. We can consume for our purpose. It has already defined classes or interfaces already existing with the necessary methods, which we can consume in our code, and we the same thing for needed functionality, right? So what functionality we require, we can have the similar methods from that package, and we can use that in our code, and we can get what we require from that class. So when we are talking, so as I have already told, regex is an API and it is inside the util package. Java has many packages: java.lang, java.util. There are so many packages in Java. They are predefined packages, and inside util we have regex here, and matcher is a class, and pattern is another class in regex API. Okay. So regex is generally this is an important concept in real time, because you might have all used applications, right? You might have used applications where you are logging in and you are using let's all think like you are signing up an application and you are providing your password, and when you are providing your password, it is saying like your password should contain this and this. It should contain this alphanumeric or special characters. It should contain all this information, or sometimes it will not allow us to enter any special characters, all this thing. and the maximum length and the minimum length, all these are thrown, right? We would say like these are some exceptions we throw. So these exceptions are thrown for user friendly exceptions, or user friendly error messages are thrown to make the user understand what is going wrong, where it is going wrong, what's wrong is going actually. So for that, what we actually do in the backend is we are specifying a particular pattern. So we are specifying a pattern like my pattern should be this, my pattern should accept. I will provide a master pattern like where you need to specify what are the things you want. Like if I want an alphanumeric, or if I want digits alone, if I want numbers alone, or if I want special characters alone, or if I want a club of everything, and if I want to set the maximum and minimum limit of the password, all these things I need to specify. So I'm creating a pattern for that password, and after that I'm making someone use I'm making someone restrict, I'm restricting someone to use the same pattern. So when someone gives their password, I will match whether their whatever input the user has given is that getting matched with what pattern I have prepared. So if it matches, it will not throw any error, or it will not throw any message to the user. If it doesn't match, the user will get message like your password should contain all these things. So how it is actually happening here is we have okay similarly here. So here I have mentioned a pattern string like my pattern string should contain is. If it is having is, it will throw whether it is basically I have already mentioned, right? Pattern is a class and matcher is a class, and in pattern we have compile method, and this compile will accept two parameters, and which is a regex. The first one should be a regex pattern where we are specifying what is the pattern of the string I'm in need of, and what is the thing like how I am what kind of regex I'm using here, that I'm going to use here. For your better understanding, let me show some other examples. Yeah, this would be helpful for you. Here I have specified some password, so let's consider this as an user input. Okay, and here I have specified how the pattern should be. My pattern should accept all the lowercase letters and all the uppercase letters, and the minimum length should be 8 and the maximum length should be 15, and it should not accept any other digits. Okay, if you want it should accept all the digits. So there are, you can still go through the regex API, and you have so many variations, or you have so many combinations for using this. I have taken this from there. You can take like how you want. If you want the digits alone, if you want the lowercase alone, or however you need, or you can still limit like you should use only, you can restrict the user to use only a to j, they shouldn't use after j, j to z they shouldn't use. You can still restrict them, you can give what however you need. So here, let's run this and I'll show you. I have given lowercase and uppercase, a combination of digits and everything, right? So let's see how it functions. So it's simply, I would like to say here, the matches method is a boolean of type of return type boolean. So it just throws as whether it is matching or not, whether it is matched or not. So here it is throwing me, or it is returning me true, just because my pattern and the user input, what I have given here, is getting matched. So it is returning true. And what if the length is reduced? Let's see, it shouldn't be, I hope it is not equal to 8, and it is throwing false. So these are simple programs, okay? In real time, we'll not use the same. We'll not use, whether, we will not check whether it is true or false, all those things. We'll use it in a complex way. But to understand it in a basic, this is okay, I feel. So you need to enter a string, you just give a pattern. It shouldn't, that is not necessary that you need to provide every patterns at a time. You try from a single pattern, like whether it is accepting my lowercase letters, start from there, and you try all the combinations, like whatever it is available, how it is behaving, and what is the difference between the previous method and then this method. So all these things you need to confirm and only you can learn. So this is how regex is really helpful, because we are working in real time applications. So in real time applications, obviously a user gets logged in, and we are going to store the, and we are going to provide them some facility to enter the password, and the password should comply all these regex patterns. So regex is really helpful in real time. Hope you got it now. And what else do I need to explain? And yeah, I also wanted to explain you about the java.io package. As I have already mentioned, there are so many packages in Java. There are so many inbuilt packages like java.util, java.lang. Try going through everything. Try to learn from, try like prepare a POC, a proof of concept, like what you want to learn. Try creating like, create something like an real time project, right? Because this is useful in real time. So like that, you prepare something and you try to learn like in that way, like how it is behaving. And one more thing, what as I have already mentioned, you should know what you are doing. If you are using public here, you should know why you are using public here. If you are using string here, you can, you should know why I'm using string here, why I should use string here. Is there any other possibility in Java to use any other thing other than string? What is the problem that I'm facing if I use something other than string? What is the alternative one? What are the drawbacks of that alternative? Everything you should know. If someone comes and asks you, why have you used this A to Z here, uh, you should be able to answer them. Otherwise the coding is not, it's not a good way of learning coding. You should know what you are doing in your code. Even if it is a two line of code, that's not a problem. You should know from even the semicolon. You should know why is that semicolon needed there. You should know why the braces is needed there. You should know why the string array is there. What's wrong if we have any integer array here, and why we have yeah, that's all these things, you know, you need to know before writing the code. You should be aware of what are the things we are using, and it's not a big deal, you know. You can still use Java documentation, where you have everything there. You can learn properly from Java documentation. For each and everything, you have answers for. You have answers. Our internet, Google has all the answers. You just Google and see why we are using public. Why not private? I can still use private. No, why not? I'm using private methods here. Why it is static? Why it shouldn't be non-static? All these things you should be aware of before writing the code. And to proceed with, I have already told, like we are continuing with the java.io package, right? So when talking with IO, you all know that it is an input and output. Okay, it deals with input and output, and it's very important for our any program, right? Because we are dealing with all those whatever we are intended to provide. Those are considered as input, and what is supposed to be provided as output, and all those things. This interaction, the communication between this is getting automated through any programming language. So that's important, like how any programming language is behaving for input and output, because we are dealing with so many inputs. Like we can still give through scanner, or we can give a file as input. Wait a second. So we can still give us a file as an input, or even Excel or any file, right? Everything is considered as file here, any document or anything. Whatever we are providing as input, how we are processing and how the output, and even you can specify how the output should be displayed, whether it should be displayed as a text format, or it should be converted into a document, and it is it should it be stored in any Excel, or a simple document, or any text document. So all these things we need to know, right? How it is processing, whether it is a byte stream or cat stream, all these things. So when talking about the java.io package, it has so many interfaces and classes. You should know what is interface, you should know what is class to proceed with. Only when you understand what is interface and what is class, you can differentiate, right? So interface, we have so many interfaces in java.io package, like object stream, object output, object input, file filter, I remember. And also there are so many classes like buffered stream, by buffered input stream, buffered output stream, buffered reader, sorry, buffered writer, and data input stream, data output stream, all those stream, many classes. There are many classes depending upon our requirement we are using. If you want to stream or if you want to process through any file, we can go for file input stream or file output stream, file reader or file writer. We can still go through object output stream or object input stream. Everything is available. So based upon our requirement, we can go to particular class, and we can have we can access those class, and we whatever methods we need, whatever process based on our requirement, we can take from there. So I would like to show an example. Mm, okay, you all know what is a CSV file, a comma separated, right? So I have a sample document here. So you know what is here. Hi, hello, how are you? For example, I have just entered this. So I want to read all this information. I want to store it as I want to display it as a CSV, where I'm separating these words with the comma separated values. Okay. So how we are reading? Let's see here, and we have taken our scanner. Scanner is also a class available in java.io package. Okay, so sorry, java.util package. We have a scanner class, and this scanner class allows us to, as you all know, it reads a value. Okay, we can provide any input through scanner. So here we have created an object for scanner, and we have created an object for file. Even file is a class. File is a class, and we are creating an instance for file, and we are passing. This might look complex for you, but you can still make it as a step by step. You can do this. You can first create a in instance for file separately, like how we have created for scanner. File is equal to new file, and you pass that. You can still store this string in a separate string, where string is one, or a string file name is equal to, you just give this path. You can give this path. After that, you pass that string value to this new file, and after so it is getting instantiated along with the constructor. So after that, pass that file instance to scanner. So do step by step while you are learning. From basic, when you learn, understand, like do as you understand, not like how someone shows. It is understandable for me because I have worked in similar ways. So if it is not for you, try from basic. That's not a problem. It is not mandatory that we should provide in this way, like that. When you work in real time, it is good. It's a good practice. Otherwise, it's not a problem. You can still go by step. You can create objects for file first. Now you can store this string value in a string separately. After that, pass one by one. So we are using a delimiter here. We have the delimiter comma, as I have already told you. And we are separating. You all are familiar with the control statements and all the loops, right? So while is a condition. So in while we have a condition like scanner has next. What does it mean? This the scanner has next method just checks if it is if it has any word. It has whether it has any word other than this. If it is looking in the first word, it is looking for the second, and it is looking whether there is a second word. So the scanner dot has next method looks for the next word, and if it finds, it will go into inside the loop, and it is get where we are using. And the scanner dot next method gets that word, and we have that method, I mean that word here, and we are printing that. And this is scanner dot close while we are working with this input and output, because while we are working with file, we consider this as resource because there is a chance of leaking of resource. This shouldn't happen. Whenever we are dealing with file or any documents or whatever we are doing, there are so many file types. We in real time we are using properties, all those things, where some important configurations will be stored, and these resources should be closed appropriately. Otherwise, there is a chance of leaking of resource. So it is important whenever we are working with the files, we should close that. So that is very important. So what happens, we have already mentioned from where, this is the route from where my file, I'm specifying where my file is there, and the file, it will search for that file and it will take all the input values that I have provided, and it is searches and it is checking whether there is another word after this, after that, and checking and taking that word, and it is printing us. Let's validate that. Okay, here we are using that as a delimiter because you all know in spreadsheet it is getting stored as a CSV document. CSV in the sense it is getting separated by commas, and we are positioning here to, in order to understand, we have set a delimiter here, like slash or slash. So we can have that, and we are just to separate that. Even still, we cannot. We don't need to use this. We can have a tab here. We will somehow, however we need to, it just takes those values, and however we need to print all these things. So you need to know what is system is a class, and out is also a field, or you can still mention this as our print streams field, and a print as a method. And we have so many print methods. It's simply print. We can use a println. So everything you should know. Why I'm using, I told no right here. I'm using, why I'm using new here, why I'm using file here, why I'm using use delimiter, why I'm using has next, why I'm using next, and why is this limiter is used, what if I give something else, and what is the necessary to close the scanner. Everything I have specified. So this is how you should learn. Why are we using this? What is the purpose? What if I don't give this? What if I don't give this delimiter here? What will happen? It will not throw any error because that is not a mandatory thing. Just for our understanding we have given. And this, hi, hello, and how are you, these are printed one by one just because I have added print ln here. It will create a new line. See here, if I remove that, there is no new line in between. So you need to understand why we are using println, why not print, what is the difference between them. However, based on the requirement, we can change however we need. So this is how usually the java.io packages behave. There are so many classes. Here we have dealt with the files, how to read a file and how to print that. Even we can write into a document. Everything is possible here. Okay. And let me show you writing some document. Okay. Here, this is a sample for writing into a document. So this is how I specified. You can still have this. You can specify the path, the string value in a separate a string literal. You can create a string literal and you can store there. So here we have specified, and also while learning itself, because many are not aware. Like in the previous example, I might have shown like a string s1, string s2. That's not a proper way. That's not a good practice. You should have some meaningful variable names, meaningful method names. Well, reading that itself, I should understand a developer in a developer perspective. Even if some other developer comes and looks into your code, he should understand what your code does. So why this variable is being created, why this method is being created, and what does this method does, and what this class is about. Everything they should understand. So developer to developer communication shouldn't be through words. It should be through the code. If someone comes and understand, if it is not understandable for them, it's not a good practice of what, it is not a good practice. Like the way we code is not a good one. So it should be readable. It should be understandable by any developers. I'm not meaning here like a normal people couldn't understand anything because they should know something technically, but another developer should understand what you have written. So that's very important, like to maintain the coding standards and to provide a meaningful name for any variables and methods. This is very important. And you should know here we have thrown an exception, like we are dealing with IO, we might face so many exceptions, like sometimes the file won't be there. We all know, well, dealing with this, while dealing with all these processes, we should, our program should not throw an illogical error, right? It should not throw some errors. We should handle those. What error should come? There are some checked exceptions, some unchecked exceptions. There are some predefined exceptions. We should predict what kind of exception we may face. We When we are dealing with the files, there are many chances, like the file name might be wrong. I might have given here writing example instead of reading example. So all this are possible. Even the extension here I have mentioned as a txt, a extension. It might be a PDF or anything. So many errors could be possible, right? Human errors could be possible. And during those times, or otherwise, the directory what I have specified here, the path might be wrong. It's not mandatory that it should be inside resource. It can be inside any other path. So all these are common errors, right? So we should predict those errors and we should handle all those errors in a proper way. Here I have just thrown as an exception. This will be handled by main thread, but usually we need to use try catch blocks to handle custom exception. We should throw a custom exception, like it will throw some exception that it would be understandable by a developer, but it won't be similar for any user. Someone who logs into Amazon, if you are if something it is throwing error, like it is throwing IO exception, the user won't be the user won't be understanding what is IO exception. He won't be knowing what is IO and what is IO exception, what is exception. He doesn't know anything. So we need to provide some custom exception, like please provide a valid file. Please provide a valid file. Please provide a valid username or valid password. So we should provide a custom message, error message or custom exception message for their understanding. So all this should be considered before writing a code. So here we have text, like we are providing a text as specified now. We are trying that here. And we writer is another class where we can specify. Already we have dealt with how to read. There are again reader class is also there, where you can read the file. You need to specify the file name or the path of the file name, because it doesn't understand from where to search, because it is a machine, right? We need to give instruction by instruction, like where you need to go, from how you need to proceed. Everything we need to provide as instruction. Only then the computer, I mean the machine, understands, like it is not a human being, like okay, this file name it should go. Even the same process, like if someone specifies the file name, like writing example, what we do, we will go from folder to folder, right? Where we'll click on a particular folder and we'll search for the file, whether the file exists or not. We'll check whether if it is existing, we'll dig through and do all the process. If it is not existing, we'll come out of the folder and we'll check another folder. And what if we know the exact folder name, we'll search this the particular folder and we go into the particular file and we'll do the process. That is how we are doing. For that is the instruction, right? The step by step instruction we are giving to our machine. Like you go to first source folder, then you have a main folder inside the source folder, and you have a resource folder inside main, and inside that resource folder you have a file name starts with writing example, and the extension of that file is .txt. All these things I need to provide, only then it will understand. So this is how I should specify the file name. And after that, I'm passing that file name to my file writer constructor. You all know what is a constructor and what is method. So when I'm passing to a constructor, this value gets initialized when the object is getting created. So when this object is created for file writer, so it is also the value is going to get initialized. And we have a text here what we are going to write in that document. So today is a beautiful day, that's the text. And after that we are taking that write method from file writer class, and that method we are passing this text as parameter to that method, and it process its function. Okay. And after that we are specifying the file name, because we have just entered till this line number 19. The process of writing is done, but how to, and how we need to see, right, what happened. Only then we'll be able to understand what actually happened, whether it is read or not. We don't know, right? We can simply throw any written message like that. Even then, if you want to read what is exactly in that file, because we have specify the file, whether it is been written in that file or somewhere it is written, or whether that function does not complete. If it doesn't complete, the process couldn't happen, right? So in order to understand that, or in order to verify or validate, we are again reading that file. We are specifying that file name, like how we mentioned in the writing process. We are specifying the file name, and we are using buffered reader here. There are reasons for everything. This is a vast topic. We cannot cover within 5 or 10 minutes. IO package itself takes a day to understand, a minimum a day to understand. If you want to work out and understand, it may take a week to understand IO package. Each and every packages has so many things to understand, right? So there are so many reasons, like why we are using writer here, why not buffered writer, why we are using buffered reader here, why not reader alone here. So there are so many reasons behind everything. You need to understand what is buffered reader, you need to understand what is writer, why not buffered writer, all these things. Only then you will know like why we are using here. So here we are using buffered class, and in buffered class it requires a file reader. So we, yeah, what we have done here, so we have created a new object for file reader here, and we are passing that file path here. And the same thing, previously we there are so many things that does same functionality, that does same function, that functions in a similar way. Like previously we checked with the scanner, even scanner did that reading process. And here also our file buffered reader also does the reading. But how it is actually functioning, it has some inbuilt methods. The methods alone get differs. Previously we had has next, here we don't have any has next. We straight away have a meaningful method like a read file read. We have a read method, so that reads the complete file. And we are checking for a condition like if it is not equal to -1, because if it is -1, then it means the end of file. Okay, if it is not equal to 1, till if it is not equal to -1, you take that content and print me for the for my output, like that we are saying. So today is a beautiful day. From where does it come? Let's cross verify that. Okay, we have a writing example here. So today is a beautiful day. We can still change this. We have validated today is a beautiful day only available here. We can say today is a fantastic day. Let's validate whether it is actually functioning or not. So this is how it is getting reflected even in the document and even in the output. Hope we have covered certain topics. I thought of covering some other topics also, but the time is limited, I feel. If someone wants to, uh, if someone is ready to ask some questions, I'm ready to answer. Or else I can summarize like whatever we have done. Let me summarize first, and we'll wait for questions. So today we have seen what is string. So what is the importance of why we are concentrating more on string than other primitive types, because string plays a major role in real time coding. Of course all the other primitive data types are doing, but string plays a different role other than that primitive data types. So it is important to understand what is string and how it is behaving, what are the drawbacks, why string is immutable, why it is immutable, and what is the advantage of immutable string, and what is the disadvantages of immutable string. How can we make it as a mutable one? So all these things we need to know. And what a regex API, about regex API we understood like how it is used in real time. Also we have dealt with the IO package, like how we are processing a file, how we are writing in a file, and how we are reading the file. So many examples we have seen. All these are real-time examples. So try to understand this in a better way, because these are like a trailer. You need to understand it in a deep way. Only then you will be understanding. Like I can create any code here because I have learned, but you want to know from scratch like how it actually functions, why we are using string. So try to learn from basic. Do not copy a code, and try to understand that. You create your own code step by step. That is the good way of learning. Let's wait for any questions now. If someone is ready to ask questions, if someone is there with some questions, let's see if he can. Is there any questions from your side? First, whether is it clear for you all? Did you all understand anything? Like if someone could answer, that would be better for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. I think I was in a hurry because in order to cover the topics, were you able to understand? If not, you can still contact me. I can explain whatever or how to learn anything. I can still help you all, like how to approach with any programming language. You begin with a particular programming language and you understand it well. If you are strong with some any any programming language, if you are strong with say for example, I can say I'm strong in Java, I can learn anything, I can learn C sharp or anything I can learn because I'm strong with the basics. So try to follow the same way, because you should understand any one language in a deep way. You should understand how it is actually working, so only then you can learn any languages in the future. It is not a big deal to moving to some other languages. We can learn any number of languages if you're strong in any particular language. So that's important. It is not easy to learn everything in a single day or a single month. It takes time. Allow it. Give that time to yourself to understand and learn in that way. That's not a problem actually, because only when you provide that necessary time and understand it, it's really interesting. Okay, when you are dealing with the actual coding in the real time, it will be really interesting, like you like playing games here in the real time, like playing any video games. You will be surprised with the outcomes. You will be surprised with the new methods, new features with the programming languages. It will be really helpful for you. As you all know, technology is getting developed day by day, so we need to be get updated in wherever field we are. And we have chosen information technology or computer science as our field. We should be updated with whatever the current technologies. It is not a thing like Java, when we need to learn only Python, or we need to switch to only machine learning. It's not that. You can learn whatever you want, whatever you are interested. So be strong in what you are learning. That's what I would suggest to my friends here. Even if you have any doubts or you need to clarify anything, if you are not able to understand what I'm doing here, because that might be easy for me but would be difficult for you, because you are still learning, right? So you can still contact me or you can still ask me. I'll definitely help you in my leisure time. Kindly make use of all this documentation available online. Everything is available in Google. Okay, the way you question them, it's is what actually matters. You should ask questions even to Google, or to your teachers or your seniors. You can ask anyone. Ask questions. Only then you will learn. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Like, you may be right. Don't think like you are wrong. You may be right, and that would be helpful for the remaining also. Ask questions whenever you think like why Facebook UI is in blue color. What is the programming language they are using? What is the framework they are using? How this like button is how for after a particular update, how the screen is changed. You might have noticed there are so many features getting added to WhatsApp and Facebook, because these are real time applications we are going through in our daily life, right? So you need to understand what a particular update is doing to that particular product. What is the feature getting added, and what kind of feature we cannot understand completely, but we should day by day. In the beginning everything will be difficult, but when it passes on, it's like a practice, right? Okay, this is how it is happening, this is how it should be. This is why we are learning this. And I mentioned like we are using regex. Even if you learn regex in you will not be knowing the importance of regex in real time. Try to understand the real time use of regex, and only then you will be interested to learn that continuously. Okay, this is how it is actually functioning. Okay, what if I'm not providing the maximum and minimum length? Okay, the user won't be able to understand what is happening. So all these things you need to interact. You know, to think in a real time, like how a user wants this and how a developer should think. You should think in all perspectives, in a developer perspective, in a user perspective, even in a tester perspective, like how our actual code breaks. I know this is a lot for you students now, but this is a better exposure now because you will be able to learn in a particular way. You know how we should approach something. That I think that would be really helpful. A good initiative by your organization, like providing a good exposure of real time things to students. So this is a great opportunity. Try to utilize this and keep learning. Learning helps us to keep us alive. If you're not learning, we are not alive, right? We are like a simply a static thing, like a non-living thing, a chair or table. It doesn't do anything. So we need to update ourselves, learn everything. It is not alone programming. Learn every technologies. Try to understand what is happening, what new technology is coming, what is any update in smartwatches or any update in any particular operating system. Everything. Just you don't need to understand it completely, but just try to look into it. Just looking into it won't cost much, right? So that's it. That's all I wanted to tell you. Because of the time constraint and because of the things, it is a big topic. These are all big topics, right? Hope you understand something. Even if not, you can still approach me. I'm really helpful. Sorry, I'm really happy to be to help you all. And I'd like to close this session now. You guys can take over.
Ma'am, can we wind up the session?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, ma'am. Then we'll end with a small vote of thanks by Dashni, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
I would like to thank our webinar speaker for enlightening us with her knowledge. Today's webinar was full of deep insight into the topic of real-time concepts in Java. I'm pretty sure the knowledge that ma'am gave us will definitely help us in our career. Thank you so much, ma'am. I extend my sincere thanks to our principal, Dr. T. Jayanti, ME PhD, for giving us this opportunity in organizing this event. I also thank our beloved HODs, Dr. V. Subeda and Dr. T. Kalachelvi, for guiding and supporting us and for helping us in organizing this event. I would like to thank our staff coordinators, teaching and non-teaching staffs of our departments who have worked hard for the success of the webinar. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants present here for being a part of today's webinar, and I would request you all to take part in the upcoming webinars. Thank you and have a nice day. Before leaving, dear participants, you are requested to fill the feedback form that will be provided in the description box.
If possible, could you please share me the feedback?